What happens to a monetized YouTube channel when the creator dies? It's a question that most people don't even want to think about. But it's something that impacts creators by the thousands. YouTube creators are entrepreneurs. They're business people. This is either a hobby or it's a business. And if you've been monetized, you need to think about it as a business. Another thing to keep in mind is that YouTube, which is owned by Google, doesn't recognize beneficiaries and heirs. I think most people think, well, I'm monetized, I have AdSense, a lot of my stuff is evergreen, so I'll have my executor contact YouTube, maybe have to send them a death certificate or something, and then they'll continue to pay that AdSense money to my heirs. YouTube doesn't care about who your heirs are. They care about their terms of service, which means they care about who the account owners are, who the account managers are. In today's video, we're going to walk through exactly how YouTube treats monetized channels after the creator's death. What happens to ad revenue? How heirs can claim funds, and the biggest mistakes creators make by failing to plan ahead. This is not speculation, maybe. This is how the system actually works. So, if you do have a monetized channel, you should consider watching this video along with the other ones that I've recently released. To understand what happens after death, you first need to understand what a YouTube channel legally is and what it's not. A YouTube channel is not owned in isolation. It's controlled through a Google account, which is governed by Google's terms of service. I listen to so many educators out there talking about how it's not too late to start a channel. You might be in your 40s or your 50s, 60s, even 70s. You might be able to start your own channel. It'll be life-changing. You should do this. And nobody tells you about the correct way to start a channel. There's two types. There's personal channels and there's brand channels. A brand channel is sort of, think of it as like a business channel. You can have multiple owners on that channel. You can have multiple managers. These are people who can go in and do what you could do with your channel. In a personal account, that's owned by your personal email. And you're the only one who can do anything to change things or to improve things. It's connected to your Google account, which is linked to the YouTube channel, the AdSense account, the payment profile, analytics, copyright tools, and contracts. So legally speaking, as I mentioned, YouTube does not recognize heirs and beneficiaries. It recognizes account holders, which, as I said, you can only have with a brand account. This is the foundation of nearly every problem that families have when the creator passes away. Number two, part two, what YouTube does not do after death. Okay? Let's clear up some common misconceptions. YouTube does not automatically transfer channel ownership, doesn't automatically reroute AdSense payments. One of the things that normally happens when somebody passes away is the executor of the estate will open up a new bank account saying, like, my name's Beverly Black, so instead of my regular citizen's account, which just has my name on it, now it's called the estate of Beverly Black. And the various different, whatever it is, have it be my checking account or various savings account, now all that stuff gets funneled into the estate of Beverly Black account. Well, YouTube's not changing who they pay things to. YouTube is a private platform, right? It's not a probate court. Their priority is compliance with their terms of service, not inheritance law. And another thing is that, estate inheritance law varies from state to state. So I think that's one of the reasons there's not so many channels on YouTube about this issue, because unlike immigration law, which is federal, and immigration attorneys can represent people all over the country, an estate attorney cannot. They have to be licensed in whatever state the person, generally, whatever state the person died in. So there's not that many attorneys available to do that. Not to mention that attorneys are notorious for being really behind the times when it comes to technology. They don't know anything about digital assets. They don't even know what a digital asset is, half of them. And they don't want to get involved with stuff they don't know about, so they don't bother learning it. I looked up CLEs preparing to start this channel. CLEs are continuing legal ed classes. Attorneys need, like in Pennsylvania, I need 12 credits every year just to show that I'm keeping up with the law. I tried to find CLEs that talked about digital assets. I looked up the big one in Pennsylvania, which is PBI, Pennsylvania Bar Institute. I looked up a big one which is national, that's LexVid. Nothing. I did find one under the National Business Institute. They had a CLE about estate planning that one of the bullet points was digital assets. And it's $429 to get 6 credits. So there's very little training about it. The attorneys don't really want to mess with stuff they don't know about. I did find on YouTube people, mainly finance people, talking about you should start an LLC, or you should put your YouTube channel into a trust. I'm going to talk about that in other videos. Right now, I just want to get to the meat and potatoes of this, the basics, okay? So, if you don't do anything, if you haven't planned for the death of the creator, YouTube treats the channel as an inactive account, regardless of how valuable it is. When I first started thinking about this, I thought, how about, there were 2 old guys I used to watch back during the pandemic for cooking shows. One was a French guy, Jean-Pierre, and the other guy was this cute, adorable Italian guy. I'm like, oh, I'm afraid both of these guys have already passed. I wonder what happened with their channels. Well, guess what? I found both of them. One's taking a breather. He said he's been doing this for 40 years. That's enough. And the other one I just found, it looks like he had a stroke though. But, and he's got family members or friends or somebody in the background talking. But have they planned? What happens if he passes away tomorrow, if either one of them? Or for the young kids, this isn't just an old people thing, I mean, the young folks who they went viral. They had some gaming channel that just took off and went viral, and they're so excited. You're thinking about subscribers and watch time hours, and oh, I'm finally monetized, and they're not thinking that you could have a car accident tomorrow. Do you have this set up so that your family gets to continue to receive payments? Or is it just going to go inactive? All right. Section 3. What happens to monetization immediately? If the creator dies, but the channel remains active, videos may continue to earn ad revenue temporarily. However, here's the critical detail. You ready? AdSense payments require an active, verified payee. Did you read those terms of service? I'll bet you didn't, because nobody ever does. If the bank account closes, which is what I was mentioning about, you're going to open up the executor would open up a new account, the estate of Fulano de Tal or Joe Blow, and then they close out the other accounts. Everything gets fed into the estate account. Well, if your account, where your money is getting deposited, closes, or if the tax information becomes invalid, if the account is flagged as inactive or compromised, which that'll be down the pike. I'm going to talk a little bit about, when is a YouTube channel considered inactive. I'm also going to have a couple of videos. This is probably a month from now. It's not now. About, let's say somebody has cancer and they know they're going to pass away. Should they be making videos to be released after they've passed away? How far out can you schedule? How far out can you schedule a video to go out? How do people feel about this? Has there been any kind of research, which I don't know the answer yet, but has there been any research about how people feel about watching posthumous videos? Watching somebody that they know has died, but here's a new video by them. That's also down the pike, because I have to do my research on that one, but I thought that would be interesting. So, another thing that could happen immediately, payments will stop. If any of those things happen, if all of a sudden the account is closed, payments are going to stop. YouTube will hold the earnings, but they're not going to release them until they need proper authorization. And that could take months. If you haven't had it set up ahead of time, that can take a long time. In many cases, funds eventually revert or remain locked indefinitely if no one completes Google's formal process. It's another thing. You're going to need a digital executor, which again is in a video that's it's either recently come out or will be coming out soon. What is a digital executor, and what does that person have to do? So you need to be thinking about that. Who knows about YouTube, or about, maybe it's TikTok. I don't really want to get into TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, because I want to focus right now on YouTube. But you're going to need not just your regular executor, who probably doesn't know very much about YouTube. You're going to want a digital executor too in your will. Oh, by the way, you're going to need a will. But we'll talk about that. Now, something that you can think about. Google has an inactive account manager. Okay? It offers one built-in planning tool. It's the only planning tool they have, and that's called the inactive account manager. This allows a creator to designate trusted contacts, meaning who's allowed to talk to Google and or YouTube about your account. It sets a period of inactivity. It allows limited data access after inactivity. And however, and this is critical, okay? It does not automatically transfer YouTube channel ownership. At best, it may allow someone to download data, access certain files, receive notifications, but it's not an estate planning solution. Okay? You need to look this up. Google's inactive, let me get it correct, Google's inactive account manager. So you need to do some homework and you need to look that up. Creators who rely solely on this tool often discover, or I should say, their relatives discover that it doesn't provide control over monetization or long-term management. Number 5, how heirs can claim funds. If no planning was done, heirs can still attempt to claim unpaid AdSense funds, right? What does this require? This requires a death certificate, proof of legal authority. That means that the person who's trying to do this is your executor or your administrator. An executor is someone who is in charge of your estate if you've made a will. This is the law in Pennsylvania. As I said, each state's going to be a little bit different. The administrator is somebody, if you didn't have a will, then they'll name an administrator. They do the same things as the executors do, but it's just a terminology thing. They're going to need some court documentation. Again, I'm not going to get into specifics about this stuff because that's going to be, you need a big honest to God video just for this stuff. But I just want to give you an overview. There have to be formal requests through Google's legal process. As you can imagine. Do you think they make it easy? They do not. This process, this legal process that Google is going to want you to go through can take months. And I don't know, but if I had to guess, I'll bet you Google and YouTube are not paying interest on your AdSense that they're holding, that they have frozen. They're not going to pay you interest on it. I could be wrong, but if I had to guess, I'll bet you it's in the fine print. There will be no interest paid. So the process can take months, if not longer, and it only applies to existing unpaid balances, not future monetization rights. In other words, the estate may recover money already earned, but lose the channel entirely. Section 6. What happens to the channel itself? If no one gains authorized access, the channel may remain online but unmanaged. Copyright strikes may go unanswered. Monetization may be disabled. Nobody's going to know what the heck is going on with the channel because you haven't set up the person who's going to take over as the manager or somebody who was already set up as a co-owner. Nobody's going to know what's going on with the channel. So monetization could be disabled. And eventually the channel probably will be removed. YouTube has broad discretion under its terms of service to terminate inactive or non-compliant channels. I already asked you, but have you read the terms of service? You might want to look them up. Anyway, a channel that took years to build can disappear. Can just disappear. Not because it lacked value. In fact, maybe because it did have value, but because it lacked planning. Part 7. Business channels versus personal channels. I talked about this in the beginning, right? Channels structured as brand accounts or owned by LLCs or corporations are easier to transition. Now, let me just stop you right there. One of the things I was able to find on YouTube were they were almost all financial people or estate planning attorneys saying you should set up an LLC, you should set up an LLC. Well, my understanding is if you're not making $50,000 a year on this channel, it's not worth doing an LLC. I'm not sure about that. By the way, all of this information that I give you, it's based on information. It's to give you some information to start your search if you want to find out more about the specifics that we're talking about. It's not given as legal advice, and I would urge you, if you do have a monetized channel that is earning some half decent money, or frankly, any money, you need to find an estate planning attorney in your state and do your homework when you're checking out an attorney. Make sure he or she knows about digital assets, because I'm going to tell you, the guy right down the street that's been doing estate planning and probate for the last 30 years probably doesn't know about it. So you need some people who are more sophisticated, which, as usual, is probably going to cost more for the attorney, just saying. So, why is it a little bit easier to work with, to have a transition when you have a brand account? Well, first of all, ownership is separated from a single individual. It's not just one person owning it. You could have multiple managers who are assigned. Secession is clear. There were these guys that I watched for PT, Brad and I think his name is Ben, Brad and Ben, the physical therapists on YouTube, and the older one recently died. And sure enough, I mean they did a number of videos talking about what a great guy he was, which apparently he really was. But by the third or fourth video, they had another guy in there taking his place. So it's still the original, and I'm not sure which one was which was Brad and which was Ben. But they still have two physical therapists, but ownership is changing, right? Management is changing. So the succession is a lot clearer than if you just have your regular personal account. Creators who are, now my printer's going off, now I have ghosts in here. I can't wait. I had a bunch of work done on downstairs, and I cannot wait to get out of this flippin' bedroom and get back downstairs into my office. I mean, my printer just went off for like no reason. I don't know. Creators operating as businesses, not hobbies, are far more likely to preserve their channels after death. So, I mean, I had thought this too when I was thinking about, what happens? I had a stroke. Okay, it wasn't horrific. I was still able to, to operate and speak. I never blah, blah, blah. But, anybody who's had a stroke is always waiting for the next one to come. What happens if I have another stroke? And that one takes me out. That's what got me actually really thinking about this. Well, neither one of my two little channels, one about immigration and one the clever quizzes, neither one of them is anywhere, well, actually immigration is getting close to getting monetized, but immigration and you is getting close to being monetized, but the quiz one, I'm not sure we'll ever get. So, look, if you don't have monetized channels, and this is just something you're doing for fun, then don't worry about it. What's important is if it is monetized, you have to consider this a business. whether you like it or not. You're an entrepreneur, you're making money, and you have to think about this as a business. There's so many of these gurus and educators out there. Some of them will tell you that you have to think about it as a business, and others will say, just get started, just do it, it's fun, blah, 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 But we all know, because I don't know how old the people are watching this. I'm assuming there's going to be more people older than younger. The older you get, the more you know. If you've planned things, things go better. If you don't, you want to take a trip and you're going to go from Pennsylvania down to Florida, if you haven't planned things out, things are going to get screwed up. So plan your channel. Take it seriously. This is money. I mean, if you're monetized, it might, even if it's only $100 or $200 a month, that's $100 or $200 a month. Take it seriously. So, one of the most important structural decisions you can make as a creator is it going to be a brand account or is it going to be a personal account? Now, what happens? The very first one that you start has to be a personal account. It just comes out of your Google email, right? But any one you make after that is a brand account. I'm going to have another video, and this you can actually find on YouTube, but I'm going to make my own video about it. But you can find people who talk about what's the difference between a brand account and a personal account, or sometimes they call it a personal account versus a business account. So you can find plenty of videos about what those differences are, number one, and number two, how to change a personal account into a brand account. I've watched a number of those videos. I swear to God, I think sometimes people make things so difficult just because they want you to go back and re-watch the video over and over and over. It doesn't have to be as complicated as they make it out to be. So, we're getting close to the end, all right? Let's talk about some common mistakes that creators make. The most common mistakes include 1, sharing passwords informally. Have you shared your passwords with your family, with your kids? I have 2 daughters, one 28, one 32. They won't even talk to me about the YouTube channel. I think the younger one is like telling the older one, don't encourage her, don't encourage her. They don't want to know anything about it. I'll tell them, I got 6 new subscribers yesterday on Immigration and You. And the older one will say, oh, that's nice, Mom. And boom, they just drop the whole subject. They just, no follow-up question, no nothing. So neither one of my adult children has any interest in my YouTube channel. Nor, by the way, do my friends, which is sort of more bothersome to me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. If they were interested in it, and they know I have a whole list of all my passwords. The thing is like 80 pages long, I kid you not. All my passwords. So they could find it if tomorrow I passed away and they wanted to figure out what to do with YouTube. They could find my passwords. But that's a problem, okay? First of all, passwords are important to keep private, right? Because somebody who has your password, even just innocuously, just innocently does something, goes up on your account and changes some things, just to help you out maybe, or just, or they share it without meaning to share it with somebody. If you have a brand account, each one of those managers or co-owners can use their own password. They use their own Google account and their own passwords. And that way your passwords are protected, right? Common mistakes. Number 2, assuming a spouse can just take over. Number 2, no, that was number 2. Number 3, never documenting digital assets. You don't explain in writing anywhere what your digital assets are. And it's not just your YouTube channel. It's not just your TikTok or your Instagram. It's your Gmail. Who can go into your Gmail and look at who's writing to you and who's, maybe there's a bill that's overdue and you're getting nasty notices, but nobody knows it because they don't have access to your Gmail account. So you need to document your digital assets. Another big mistake, as I said, treating a channel as entertainment, not property. It's an asset, okay? It's just like your house or your car. It's an asset. It's not just something fun that you're doing if you're monetized. If you're not monetized, it's when you pass away, it's probably going to pass away with you. It's certainly going to happen with my kids because they're not going to do anything with it. The other thing, let me go back. I missed a point. Sharing passwords in particular violates YouTube's terms and can permanently jeopardize the channel. Read the terms of service. One night when you have nothing better to do, just sit down and say, you know what, tonight I'm reading these things. You don't have to be a lawyer to read the terms of service and understand things. It's not written, well, there's some legalese, but most of it's not written in legalese, and you can understand what's going on with the terms of service. And good intentions don't override platform rules, okay? YouTube and Google are in charge, not you. And it does, well, you know, I meant to do this or I was going to do that. You have to comply with the laws and the rule, well, not the laws, but the rules that they've set up. Section 9, what creators should do now. Every monetized creator should, 1, make an inventory of your digital assets. 2, structure channels properly. And by that, I mean make them brand accounts. 3, separate personal and business accounts. Might not be a bad idea, for instance, if you have, you know, you're going to get monetized and you just have that money go straight into your personal checking account. You might want to think about that, because if you were running a business, if you had set up a business, you wouldn't have, let's say, even if it's something as simple as you're going to do snow removal and cutting grass, or your teenage kid is going to be doing that, or whatever. You can make some money. Believe me, where I live, you can make some money on that. Or you're going to do some dog grooming, or you have a garden and you've decided you're going to be selling your vegetables and your fruit at a farmer's market or whatever. Treat it like a business. You're not going to have that money, your snow removal money, go straight into your personal account. Set up a business account, which that's a whole, and by account I mean like a checking account or a savings account. You might want to talk to somebody about starting. Well, you don't even have to have, see, I was an attorney running my own office for 40 years, and I was a sole proprietor, and I never became an LLC. I never became, incorporated, but I did not mix the money, my personal money and my business money. Somebody paid me something, it went into my business account. On Fridays when I got paid, I wrote myself a check and then deposited that check into my personal account. Don't mix the two, okay? You gotta think, you're in a new spot. Listen, if you're monetized, and maybe you're just monetized, you're in a brand new spot. So if you're not used to how businesses run, you need to learn. You need to get up to speed. Because if not, you're going to cause problems, not just for yourself in the short term, but for your family members in the future. Another thing you should be doing, align AdSense with an estate plan. So you have to think about how much money you have coming in from AdSense, and you have to think about, well, how much money, let's say you have a rental home, and that's going to be, in your will, and who's getting how much money, what's the percentages going to the spouse, or let's say you don't have a spouse, what's the percentages going to the kids? If you don't have kids, to your best friend, whatever. You need to consider your AdSense income, incorporate that into your estate plan. Again, with the brand account, make sure that the person has lawful access, meaning they're a co-owner or a manager. Don't share your personal passwords. Now, planning doesn't mean that you give up control, okay? Not necessarily. It means preserving what you've built, okay? There's a lot of different ways that you can do this, because the managers, you can choose which managers can do what. So, and we'll talk about that in another video. I just wanted to give you a general idea that what you think might happen when you pass away might not happen. Like, well, my executor's just gonna, tell YouTube that they should send the money to my kids now. No, doesn't work like that. So I've put up a number of different videos. When I launched this, I launched with 5 videos. So there's a bunch of different videos that you can watch. If you've gotten some value out of this, please hit subscribe. Leave some comments. Share it with somebody you think could use this information. Because I'm telling you, maybe I just missed them. But I have not been able to find many YouTube videos at all about what happens to your channel after you pass away. And that's the sole purpose of this channel, okay? It's not about, call me up and I'll do a trust for you. I'm retired, so you don't have to worry about that. Plus, I'm not going to want to do that anyway. I might end up, I have this planned out, but I haven't done any checklists. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine about it. She said, oh, you could sell them digital checklists, and you could this and that, and you could sell them this and sell them that. And it's like, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing I'd like you to do. There's 2 things I'd like you to do. One, if you get value from this, there's 3 things I'd like you to do. 1, if you get value from this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next ones that are coming out. 2, share it if you think there's somebody who could use it. And if you do want to support the channel financially, I'm on Buy Me a Coffee. It's under Immigration and You. It's down in the description below. I've had this for like months, and nobody's ever bought me a coffee. But you know, if you're interested in helping me out, I am living on Social Security. But I just wanted to have I just wanted to be able to create a channel where people can learn, get themselves educated. You know, there's just so many. There's so many. I should stop this right here, but I'm going to say it anyway. There are so many people out there saying, you can do it, you can do it, you're not too old, you can start your own channel, blah, blah, blah. But they never tell you, number one, start it with a brand account. Number two, what to do to plan for what's going to happen to all of us. You know, sooner or later, one of these days, we're going to pass. I haven't, well, I have to correct myself. I saw one from Rob the Maritimer, but it was a video that came up a year ago, and I think I'll have to watch it again, but it was like 5 things you should do. But he then, at least once, maybe twice in the video, he says, but I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney. Well, I am, number one. Number two, he's also Canadian, so I'm not sure what the laws are in Canada versus the laws in the United States. That was the only one that even came close to talking about what I want this channel to be, which is, it's called Creator Asset Protection. That's the whole goal, to make sure that all of these people that the other folks are bringing into YouTube, you could do it, you could do it, that those people, including you, know what to do to protect your asset. And that's going to do it for today. But I have multiple videos that you can watch. They're probably going to be, at least one's going to be popping up. I'm going to have playlists too. And so please feel free to watch stuff. Hit subscribe, hit like, share it. And you don't have to buy me a coffee if you don't want to. One of these days somebody's going to buy me a coffee though. So we'll see how this goes, and leave some comments. You know, I know with my Immigration and You, it's so rare to get comments. Leave some comments. If there's something in particular you want me to talk about, I'll be more than happy to do it. We'll see. I think this is a necessary channel. I don't think there's many other people doing it. If there are, I haven't found them. If you know other people, other channels that are dealing with creator asset protection, let me know, okay? Leave a comment, and I'll certainly look at it. And I do look at every comment, and I try to, at least on the Immigration and You one, I look at every single comment, even the nasty ones, as you can imagine with that topic, immigration. I look at every single one. I usually respond to them, not the nasty ones. I try not to get into fights, but I will look at your. I will certainly look at your comment, read it, and try to respond to it. And thank you so much for spending some time with me. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you back in the next video.